Hey guys. 1951, USA 5-center coin. 1951, a movie ticket cost 50 cents, a gallon of gas was 19 cents, and the Jefferson nickel was the workhorse of the American economy. Most people see a 1951 nickel today and think it's just a filler coin, something worth 5 cents and nothing more. But if you flip that coin over and see a tiny S next to Monticello, or if the building on the back has perfectly defined steps, you aren't looking at 5 cents. You're looking at a coin that collectors fight over at auctions for hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. Today, we're breaking down the 1951 Jefferson nickel, the low mintage S mint, the elusive full steps variety, and exactly what to look for so you don't accidentally spend a small fortune. By 1951, the U.S. Mint had long moved past the Silver War nickels of the 1940s. We were back to the standard composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel. The design is the classic work of Felix Schlag, which had been in circulation since 1938. But 1951 was a unique year for production. While the Philadelphia and Denver mints were busy churning out tens of millions of coins, the San Francisco Mint was doing something very different. In the early 50s, San Francisco started scaling back. This created what collectors call coins that aren't quite as rare as the legendary 1950D, but are significantly harder to find than your average nickel. To know what your 1951 nickel is worth, you have to look for the mint mark. It's located on the reverse to the right of the Monticello building. 1951 no mint mark, Philadelphia, they made about 28.5 million of these. In average circulated condition, they're worth about 25 to 50 cents. 1951 D Denver, Denver produced about 20.4 million. Slightly lower than Philly, but still very common. You can find these in pocket change grade for under $1. 1951S this is the one you want. The San Francisco Mint only produced 7.7 million nickels in 1951. Why 7.7 million matters? In the world of nickels, anything under 10 million is considered a low mintage coin for that era. Because so many of these were used in daily commerce, finding a 1951S in uncirculated condition is a massive win. A high-grade 1951S can easily jump from a few dollars to 50 or 100 instantly. Now, let's talk about the phrase that makes nickel collectors salivate. If you look at the reverse of the coin, you'll see the Monticello mansion. At the base of the building, there are sets of stairs. On most nickels from 1951, these stairs look like a flat, blurry blob. This is because the dies were worn down or the strike wasn't strong enough. To get the FS designation from grading services like PCGS or NGC, a nickel must have 5 or 6 clearly defined, uninterrupted steps. A standard 1951S in mint state 66 might sell for 80. That same 1951S with full steps in the same grade it has sold for over 1,500. Why? Because the 1951 strikes were notoriously mushy. Finding one where the metal flowed perfectly into those tiny step lines is incredibly rare. If you don't have a coin, don't worry. There are still mint errors to look for. The most famous for this year is the 1951D repunched mint mark RPM. Because mint marks were hand-punched into the dies back then, sometimes the worker hit it twice, or the punch slipped. Look closely at your D or S with a microscope. If you see a shadow of another letter behind the main mint mark, you've found an RPM. These can add a 20 to 50 premium to even a circulated coin. Here's a quick cheat sheet for your 1951 nickel values. The 1951 nickel is the perfect example of why you should never overlook the boring years. Between the low mintage San Francisco strikes and the extreme rarity of the full steps variety, there is serious money hiding in plain sight. So, go grab your change jar, get a magnifying glass, and check the back of those 1951s. You might just be holding a piece of history that's worth a lot more than 5 cents.